more threats from the president? Is this just more rhetoric ahead of the November elections, or are we actually going to see action behind this?
Well, a bit of both, I think. I mean, in this interview, he was speaking to Fox Business, and he was asked about his relationship with Xi Jinping. He described that relationship with the Chinese president still as very good, but he said, look, I don't want to speak to him at this point. That's the way he characterized it. And then he went on to throw out this idea of cutting off the whole relationship, as he put it, which he claimed would save $500 billion US, which, by the way, is not true because it's not the volume of trade between the two countries, and it also misunderstands the nature of international trade. Nonetheless, it suggests and points to how angry he is with China. He also said he's examining Chinese companies that trade on US exchanges and rejected the idea of renegotiating the Phase 1 deal, which is an option, by the way, that's been touted by Chinese state media. So, yes, it is an escalation in terms of the rhetorical attacks from his administration on China over its handling of the outbreak. And again, if he and his administration tries to shift the blame, and we should probably expect more as we count down to the presidential elections in November.
And I think, Tom, we should remind ourselves this is not the only point of contention between Beijing and Washington.
That's right. One other area is, and there are a number of areas, is human rights. And this is in our focus right now because we've had the Senate passing legislation that would impose sanctions on Chinese officials over human rights abuses against the Uyghur Muslim minority in Xinjiang. And it would condemn this bill, the internment of more than 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities in camps in that part of China, and with a call for those camps to be closed as well. Now, China denies there is any forced internment of Muslims, and the bill would need to be passed by the House and signed off by Trump. But clearly it's another lever with which to pressure China, and of course it follows a similar Hong Kong focused bill that was passed last year. And it's a reminder that tensions are escalating, as you said, across the board, really, from the virus to trade, investment, Taiwan, and more recently human rights as well. We've had officials in the US reaching out to Taiwan, for example, and a push for the island to get observer status at the World Health Organization. That has riled China. We've had US warships patrolling the Taiwan Strait. And on the economic front, as well as that Phase 1 deal and question marks about that, you've had the US and some in the US even mulling the option of cancelling more than $1 trillion in US debt held by China, something which was obviously previously unthinkable. So a lot will hinge on whether this Phase 1 trade deal still holds, and it is looking fragile at this point. But you've got some out there, including Xi Jinping, who's an advisor to China's cabinet, telling Bloomberg that US-China relations have descended to the worst state in decades and will only get more tense.